Hello, it's me again. Right, so I'm going to start with a Chuck Norris joke that I've just read, and this is one of my memory exercises. Chuck Norris died 20 years ago. It's just that death is still building up the courage to let him know. I know it's not that funny, but I just really endlessly appreciate Chuck Norris jokes. Okay, so straight on to the point. I'm going to try and make short videos from now on, at least half the time. Okay, so I've got a great comment from Julia from my Sight Beyond Life, Love and the Purpose of Adversity video. And I just wanted to quickly read out a comment, and then her comment leads into the point of this video. Okay, so Julia said, I listened to the end. Some nuggets of wisdom in there. It's very kind of you, but I'm sure many people don't agree. I'm not sure if I do. Nobody deserves head injury. Really, I don't see a purpose to it, ... I don't think it makes a person better. It is only more of the challenge and struggle that is life piled on top. So to sort through it, to make sense of what life is after that trauma is admirable. I love how you chose your words, and I see a loving and progressive person. Again, that's for other people to say, but I really appreciate those words, and I did write your reply. Yeah, it just gave me an idea, Julia, so thank you very much for your comment. It made me think about death and how many times I've cheated it, which is a weird thing to say, I know. I think it's 3 times now. So the most recent time was my traumatic brain injury, being punched in the back of the head by a far bigger man and dying for 2 or 3 minutes before the heart started back up again. I was also thrown down a flight of stairs and almost died from internal bleeding before my spiral fracture of my left femur, which is the thigh bone, broke like that and shattered out. And I also had, so I guess technically maybe even 4 times, because I was in hospital 2 weeks, and right at the end I had a serious blood clot as well. But when I was 13, I decided to go surfing before the lifeguards. So yeah, the lifeguards showed up in St Ives in Cornwall, where all of my dad and my dad's side of the family are all from. And it probably wasn't a riptide. I don't know what it was, but I was 13. I was the scrawniest 13-year-old, but I looked about 11. And I got pulled out. I realised. I don't know what did that. Sorry for those of you who suffer with hyperacusis like me, but luckily I've got my earplugs in. I've got them in really well. But anyway, I was getting pulled out, and now I think back, I think because I knew I was getting dragged out of the sea, that I just didn't. Why didn't I just lie on my surfboard? That would have been a real tragedy. So I almost died, but I actually had something that I could have just lied on top of. But I was fighting against. I was out of my depth, and I was getting pulled out, and I couldn't get to the part of the shore in the water where you put your feet on the sand, and yeah, it was touch and go. It got to a point where I was far beyond exhausted, and I just refused to give in, and I gave one last great big effort. I managed to break free of it and get my feet onto the sand. I think it was at least 20 minutes. It was very early in the morning. It's before the lifeguard still hadn't shown up, when I collapsed face first on the wet sand. In those beaches where the tide goes up pretty far. Porthmeer is one of those beaches, quite far. And I just lay face down for about another 20 minutes, because I knew that it was kind of a miracle that I was alive. To be honest, I might not have even been surfing that day. I think I might have gone for a swim. That makes it less foolish, but I know that I was very close. But I remember at that time, particularly other boys were telling me how weak I was, and I kind of believed them. I thought I'd always be scrawny, and I could feel the beginning echoes of what would later become chronic anxiety and stuff. But I walked up the steep hill towards Barnoon Cemetery, totally changed. I didn't realise it at the time, because whether it was folly or not, I still managed to overcome death because I just refused to, through sheer force of will. As honestly the scrawniest. You can check out my profile on James Inkson on Facebook, and close to where I first went on Facebook, you can see how skinny my arms were, but I was a lot broader when I was 19. And anyway, but the seed was planted, and it's when I started to learn, looking back, I can see it now, that great adversity changes you. It doesn't make you a better person, Julia, I agree, but it can make you an incredibly stronger person if you refuse to be battered down by it, and if you refuse to just go along with that overpowering tide that is going to take you out to a place where you're going to drown eventually if you're not careful. And yeah, seeds were planted in me that day. Now I look back, and I'd have 2 years out from drama school when I was just about to turn 21, and I was thrown down the stairs and nearly died then. And now, well, I've mentioned about where I'm at on many of the other videos. But even just the normal things now, like even having a shower is the most challenging thing. It's absolutely exhausting. And a lot of the time I'll just think something like, oh, I'll just phone in the shower. I'll just wash my armpits, wash my bits, and I'll just do like a quick wash. But I never do. It's just not in me. I have to do a really thorough clean. And it's like brushing my teeth. I hate it. I hate brushing my teeth. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I hate brushing my teeth. But when I just sort of do like a once over and I'm done in 2 minutes, the next day in my sleep, and my mouth, you know, when you wake up, your mouth just feels, oh. I used to say as a kid that it tastes like someone had poured toxic waste in my mouth when I woke up the next morning, like there's some sort of conspiracy, some bastard just sort of sneaking in going, but yeah, I brush my teeth really thoroughly too. I go easy on the gums, make sure we do that. But the point is I never do anything by halves, and I think there's great strength in never doing things by half measures, because I'd already become a full measures person before my traumatic brain injury, and it's that mindset which has been crucial to me post TBI. But I totally believe anyone can achieve it at any point post TBI, but you've got to sort of, I have definitely developed that I refuse to lose attitude, and it's definitely bit by bit from the 3-4 times that I've cheated death. And recently, I'm going to finish this out. I'm so glad I'm really close to being done, because this is quite short for me, isn't it? I know this should be cut, but I don't think it should. I think it was Zach Wimmer who said recently that he appreciates how raw I am, because I think there's truth in rawness. I don't think you're seeing the real people on YouTube normally, because they're cutting every 3 seconds. It's like, are you really interesting? Is this really what you're like? Or anyway, I'm gonna not be a dick to other YouTubers. That's not cool. Okay, so my final point is this. When I've been thinking about this, so Julia, thank you, because I have been thinking about talking about this recently, and it's kind of strange and it's kind of off topic, but it kind of connects. Anyway, in Breaking Bad, there's a point where Walter White, who is now really, truly become Heisenberg, who's basically shadow possessed from a Jungian perspective, and he tells Jesse, I believe, about how he got into a company that's basically in real life is a bit like Apple, or I mean, it's a big science company called Grey Matter, but they're like a multi-billion company. But he got out and had a breakup with his business partners, and took 25 grand in the 80s or something. And he's living a very mediocre life. And he said to Jesse, I'm not in the drug business, I'm in the empire business. And like that keeps coming back to me recently, not obviously because I'm not going to become like an evil drug lord or anything, but I'm in 2 businesses. I'm in the almost being killed by great adversity business firstly. But now it's very clear that I'm in the overcoming adversity business. And I think anyone who faces great adversity has to see that you have to sort of look up the word indomitable. I'm not going to explain it. You look it up, and all I'll say is that is, I see a seed of that within me now. No one can ever truly be indomitable. Not in one of the definitions. There are two definitions, and one is not absolute, and one is. But I see that seed in me now, and I think it's important, if you don't, to learn that word and realise that there is something inside you that can be created that has that touch of that word. And because on my weakest days I have not got that. I have not got the indomitable in me, and they're actually more and more often recently. But even when I can't feel it inside me, that indomitable touch, I aspire to it. Okay, damn it, I thought I'd do it under 10 minutes. I'm not cutting it. Fuck it, I'm not going to cut it. Much love, all the best. Yeah, and I'll be doing more shout outs in each video now, but I'll just do one shout out per person for shout outs that I want to. But there are so many, so it's going to take a while to get through. Okay, much love, bye.